We wake this morning to the wreckage of one of the most brutal nights Kyiv has endured since the war began. Russia launched the second largest aerial attack of the entire conflict, firing 629 drones and 31 missiles into Ukraine. Nearly 100 buildings have been damaged, at least 12 people killed, 3 of them children, and dozens more injured. Among the targets, the British Council offices in Kyiv and a building housing the European Union's diplomatic mission. That's not random fire. These are deliberate strikes on symbols of international presence and support for Ukraine, the institutions that embody Western solidarity. Antonio Costa, the President of the European Council, has said plainly the EU will not be intimidated. Yet intimidation is precisely the point. Moscow wants to demonstrate that it can hit not just apartment blocks and power stations, but also the physical representation of Western culture and diplomacy in Ukraine. The attack comes immediately after Donald Trump's highly publicized meeting with Vladimir Putin in Alaska. That encounter was billed as a chance to restart diplomacy. Instead, Russia's answer is unambiguous: ballistics over negotiation. President Zelensky himself put it starkly: Russia chooses killing and ending the war. If Moscow meant to send a message to Washington and Brussels, it is written in the glass shards littering Kyiv's streets this morning. The pattern of targeting is clear. A 5-story block destroyed in the Darnitsky district, fires across the city, families buried under the rubble in residential areas. The cultural and educational institutions that have been hit, including the British Council building, where shattered glass and debris now symbolize the attack on knowledge and cultural exchange. And the EU delegation, a red line under international law, brazenly crossed. Diplomatic missions attacked by an international body, by a sovereign state. Russia has attacked diplomatic missions. It's terrorism in the literal sense, the use of violence to spread fear. Zelensky has called for new sanctions, singling out China and Hungary, 2 countries whose muted responses encourage Moscow's sense of impunity. He argues persuasively that every delay in tightening economic and political pressure is bought with Ukrainian lives. I have always been rather cautious about sanctions. I don't think they work. But having started them, I don't think we should ever stop them and until there is some result. Stopping sanctions now suggests a relaxing of pressure. So I don't think it's possible to do it. So that's how I judge sanctions. Moscow's or Kyiv's defenders intercepted most of the swarm of missiles. Out of the 598 drones, the vast majority were downed, along with nearly all of the missiles. But as every Ukrainian knows by now, most is never enough when even one missile levels an apartment block. For the UK, the symbolism is acute. The British Council, long a quiet ambassador of British culture, language and education, now lies scarred. And that building's broken windows are not collateral. They are part of Russia's contempt for Britain's role in supporting Ukraine. It'll be hard for London to ignore this. A strike on the British Council is not the same as a strike on Whitehall, but it edges in that direction. It touches the realm of diplomatic aggression, which international law is supposed to prohibit. We shouldn't lose sight of the fact that this came on a night when Ukrainian drones also struck Russian oil refineries. The war is now a double-sided air campaign, but one side aims at industrial facilities, the other at children's bedrooms, and that moral contrast is at the heart of why this war matters to Europe and to Britain, and to the world. This was not just another bombardment, it was a calculated act against international institutions, against European resolve, and against the idea that diplomacy might end the conflict. If Trump left Alaska with the illusion of progress, Putin has dispelled that in the flames over Kyiv. The attack on the British Council and the EU delegation is a message to us all. Russia wants to define peace on its own terms through terror. Our question then is whether the West is prepared to answer that with more than words, with sanctions that bite, with defences that shield, and with the political courage to admit that negotiation cannot mean appeasement.